I have covered Alduin when talking about the last Dragonborn and dragons in general, so I won't go far down the scaly chain and go over every ability, but more so information I think you should know. Now, Alduin I find to be severely underrated in terms of power scale. I'm going to do my best to explain the scope of his power, starting with magic, speed, and finally overall scope. Alduin is mentioned in multiple mythologies in the Elder Scrolls universe, and the way Elder Scrolls works, one is not necessarily wrong, but more like another version of canon history. Now, the arcane might of Alduin. Beyond almost anything in the series, immensely above the Dragon Priests, many of who were some of the most powerful mages in their era, and became more powerful with the use of Priest Mask. But of course, besides raw magic, we have the legendary power of the dragons, Shouts. Power of which, besides the last Dragonborn and possibly Mirak, he is above dragons and others who use the voice. Those who have used this power have performed amazing feats, such as manipulating the weather, summoning meteors, which we see Alduin perform himself, split the sky, however you want to interpret that, and even shaking the world. Though I would say the most impressive feats of Shouts don't do with destruction, but hacks, such as the manipulation of time, victory manipulation, such as the Nord warrior Barfak, Maid of the Plains, who would sing her shouts, giving her event document, granting victory. Tiber Septon could manipulate reality and erase history. Alduin, being older than time itself, would also know dawn magic, magic in the era of the gods, before Mundus left. It's more than magic of the gods, but the magic that is part of the very gods themselves at the peak of their existence, lost through history, kept alive mostly by the ancient elites. Now for speed. When teleportation was not possible, dragons were used to traverse the battle spire that exists over the edges of the infinite dimension known as Oblivion to the Imperial Palace. Alduin exists beyond the flow of time and even kills the Jills, who are unaffected by the manipulation of time. After fighting the last Dragonborn, we see Alduin fly from Nirn to Sovngarde with speed alone. Now it's time to talk about the scale of Alduin's power. Alduin scales, of course, above the dragons. He scales above the Daedra, the Divines, and Mundus as a whole. Now, starting with the dragons, he is the first and stated he is above them all, even cut down Parthenax, who has been alive teaching the power of shouts after the Dragon War, of course more powerful than any dragon priest, one of which wielded the Staff of Magnus, an artifact that helped shape Mundus itself. The scale of the dragon's power, I say, was more properly displayed and outlined in Elder Scrolls Online, such as with Marzalak, whose corruption even affected the sorceress high priest of the god of spiders, Selene. Selene is a powerful and ancient spirit that once overpowered the great mage and founder of the Mage Guild, Vanis Galarin, whose talent and power was so incredible he destroyed the great shackles of Moloch Baal, the dark archers who break the barriers between Nirn, and used to pull in material. The shackles were going to pull in all of Nirn. Above the dragon Kilgranted, who absorbed the Jode core that powers the plane of Jode, the infinite moon of the Khajiit. Now the Daedra. They are immortal beings that did not take part in the creation of Mundus and thus retain the full scale of their power. The most powerful among them are the Daedric princes. Every prince has their own plane of oblivion. These planes can house anything the prince can imagine. Islands, civilization, even stars and galaxies. the Daedric Princess planes have many statements of being number and scale, all encompassed by the infinite Arcturus. Now, how does Alduin scale? Stronger than the dragon Daedra by proxy of being the strongest dragon besides Akatosh. Molech Baal was said to be the only prince who dared trouble the sleep of the Dragon Eater. Alduin faced the primordial entity, the Leper King, said to be one of the few entities that could survive his bite, but ultimately turning the Leper King into Dagon. And finally, the Divine. To understand how he scales to them, you must understand his role. Alduin is the little world eater. He devours all of Kalpa and creates a new one, creating a new dawn era, meaning when time comes, all of Mundus will be devoured in the cycle, including the Divines. The Divines are, of course, incredibly powerful gods of the Elder Scrolls universe, each also having their own infinite dimension that humans see as planets and moons in the sky, all encompassed by oblivion. Alduin even once faced Shur, who was regarded as the same being as Larkon or an aspect of Larkon at the beginning of time. Attack potency. Deep into high universal, infinitely more powerful than that of the elite sorcerers who created the Golden Path, a dimension filled with star clusters through use of dawn magic. More powerful than the elite king Selimari, who can manipulate the abyss, an infinite set of environments, rooms, and dungeons containing all manner of entities such as Daedra and dragons. He was going to use its power to destroy all of Nern, more powerful than any of his fellow dragon kin and priest servant who have the power to manipulate higher dimensions of infinite size, comparable to even stronger than the Divines and the Daedric princes who manipulate an infinite number of infinite-sized dimensions. Being a primordial deity, he is comparable to Akatosh and Larkon before the creation of space and time, and existence in Arbus, which exists now as a realm that encompasses multiple myriad of infinite realms, each transcending the last. Well, that's it so far. What do you think of the power of this wyvern? Is he one of the most powerful dragons ever? Or did I go a little too far here? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this helps gets you an idea of just how powerful Alduin truly was, and just how powerful the Dragonborn is, if you haven't seen my last video on him. Anyways, please remember to like, sub, and hit the bell. Later.